So anybody who's been in a narcissistic, psychopathic relationship or was really badly neglected or abused as a child, our nervous systems become so finite, so curious and so clever that how smart that child is goes beyond any matrix of thought. Myself, if I was to think about how to control a flock, a population or a group, it would be to break down the capacity for the child to be able to be so innovative, creative, smart, imaginative, and to have that innocence of flow, which really is recovery rate. It's a bit like having a fresh hard drive. You plug it in, you use it, and over the years it does start to wear down and you're going to lose data. Sadly, you could lose and have your whole memory corrupted, which goes into Alzheimer's and PTSD and all manner of things. But in the child state, with that very fresh, new hard drive, being able to map things, detect things, get coordinates and take a fall, pick oneself up and move forward is like flying like a bird or being a fawn or any young animal that you can see the courage and the bravery as they veer towards taking a sniff very close to dangerous risks. And what happens in a household, say if there's been sexual abuse on a child, which I think is the most heinous thing that can be done to a human being. And sadly, it's not taken seriously. Children are not valued. And I do believe that the rot, the expenses, the weight on our healthcare system all comes from having those boundaries fractured. I don't have the statistics on me, but I know that if I did, it would really show the corrosion. And yet in our legal, there's a slap on the wrist. For images, there's a slap on the wrist. And it's almost as though these indulgences are acceptable because the person who has the voyeuristic tendencies to want to use their height, strength, advanced autonomous position to be able to come and go and make choices as an adult, that they want to inflict an unfair advantage onto a very small body. And heart and mind is savage. And the consequences, unemployment, well, everybody pays. Our tax, the amount of tax we pay, every time you pay tax to the government, you're subsidising this immoral corrosion. Because most things, I believe, from my experience, and I've studied anatomy and physiology 5 times, been in alternative health, was studying as a nurse for about a year. I've spent most of my time trying to crack the algorithm like I'm some sort of system or robot. I've gone inside myself and done every single therapy to read about and study to work out hacks for the mind and the emotions and the heart for recovery that's from a systemic operating system and root system deep down within the pelvic area and on the sexual especially. it is the ultimate violation. It is like allowing somebody to besiege the Garden of Eden. It corrupts like the snake, the family, the community. So coming back to Sleeping Beauty and sleep. So I think I know anybody who has been through abuses in childhood specifically, or in a coercive domestic abusive relationship, will know sleep patterns are shattered. If you have a job and you have to be up, you'll do it, but you will become exhausted and tired and grey from the bracing through the night because you know that you're not safe in your own home, and you will wear down very quickly because you're not getting deep, healing, reparative sleep. So, and then there's those, unfortunately, in relationships where they are drugged, and it is sadly incredibly common that the Sleeping Beauty aspect, the person they live with, many have such tendencies to get thrills, possibly because they have porn addiction. I know that porn addiction is a huge big thing in how it can change the brain to not feel or have empathy and to want to take bigger risks. And sadly, so many women and children are in households where the mother is, or the female is drugged. I mean, it can happen to men as well, but I obviously as a female only look for my gender. So the sleep is a very difficult thing. So for instance, staying up late. If you're with the perpetrator, your body does not want to be near them. There is an aversion. You might find that you stay up late to enjoy the house when it's peaceful. When there is nothing going on, you know there are no alarms. That could be the only time that you get where you can repair and breathe easy. Also being next to somebody who has hurt you and harmed you, that on your inner child level specifically, your ultimate dashboard that tells you what's dangerous or not, that's going to be vigilant and firing. So it's like having the car purring and still going, or the hard drive still with it. Sorry, I keep bashing my folder. The hard drive still going, and coming out of the relationships when you are safe and you do have a space, that's going to carry on. I mean, depending on how long you were with that person, your nervous system has, it's so exquisite. It is like a castle within. Every cell in your body that is your immunity seems to be like some sort of guard or defense. I mean, I like to see them like little characters. You've got an army inside of you, and they've been sending out the forces and the defences because it's been a war. So that military within you has been trained years, possibly, even if it's only been for a couple of months. You have got a drill. You have got your sergeant in your command centre, in your medulla, and your hormones and your brain and your neurology is sending down the mapping system and the strategy, and your body is on a drill. So when you're out, you are still going to be having to pull back the army, so to speak. I'm working on a module and going through it myself in regards to help that process. I don't really know when it'll be ready, but I will let you know when it is ready. And it's working effectively. I mean, I'm way beyond middle age now, and all my life I've been in a high alert system and attracted relationships, obviously, that fitted that pattern. So I'm working on cooling down my nervous system and trying to get my army to stand down. And I know that's very relative in the current times because there is so much friction and so much tension. It almost seems civil war, world war, war. And the heated ravages and rages of fire at the moment seem to be very much on everybody's tablets and phones. So I would say in the current climate, what we can do is to work on our own alarms, our own defences, and the armies within us to make sure that they stand down, strategise effectively, and find ways to, I suppose, if you were going to be in charge of any domain, energy, which brings me back to the sleeping beauty and the sleep, and trying to find a way where sleep is beautiful, aiming for an ideal time. And if one can get to sleep before 10 p.m, then that does, on a circadian rhythm, in terms of whether it's planetary, atmospheric, due to the temperature changes, the body is in sync with everything. We're beyond intelligent in regards to what we can pick up on. So all of these shifts and changes, getting into bed before 10 o'clock is a superb way to help the body heal. Now there's another issue. It's really hard work. It's not as simple as saying I'm going to go to bed at 10 o'clock. It's not. If you were abused as a child, having somebody know what time you're in bed and telling somebody what time you're in bed is going to alert that small wounded part of you, which is incredibly intelligent. The fact that you can say something out loud to somebody else and that part is listening with the perception to then work out simply what that entails is divine. And I think information is divine when it's made simple. And a child can do that. Everything else, the complexities, how we try to use multiple words to say the same thing, the legal system, contracts, business, everything else. I mean, I do love to pontificate, and I do love to hyper-intellectualize, because I think it keeps me out of my body. It keeps me away from feeling like a child, feeling small, which that seems to be, I believe, where a lot of abuses occur. Perpetrators don't want to feel small. Why don't they want to feel small? We feel humiliated when we feel small. Why do we feel humiliated when we feel small? There's the value for youth and children. The pool seems to be decreasing constantly. The freedom to be a child and to be safe, the probabilities seem to be decreasing rapidly. Even if you have money, even if you can go to a private school, even if you can afford the best. I've had partners and long-term partners where the privilege and the horrors of privilege are just as bad as those that are middle class, as my father was, and working class, as my mother was. So it's systemic, regardless of, there's no escaping the fact that children are treated as disposable, and the intelligence that comes with that, and the ability to communicate in such a beautiful, simple, direct, connecting way with no sense of shame or inhibition, and yet with the ability to remember. Children have fantastic memories, and we only forget, and we get PTSD when those memories are so traumatic that, again, the hurt parts run behind a wall and hide in the trenches. They're still there looking. They might have their faces covered in darkness, and like, in the army, they might be camouflaged. You might catch a glimpse of a familiarity of who you are. That comes from the child, really knowing your identity and who you are. It's familiarity. It's your own internal family. So the sleep is not straightforward and easy, as I said. And I find keeping a record, so aiming for 10 o'clock, I had a lot of resistance. I didn't fight myself. I didn't shame myself. I said, right, I'm going to go at this time. And then I observed. And when I felt resistance, rather than chastising myself or worrying about the next day, or I took some time to say, hey, what's going on? And I found hot milk or anything that of comfort, anything, finding the keys of comfort, small things, whatever they are, textures or smells, or something from your past that maybe a grandmother, the washing powder she used or something. Those and then just sitting with that. Like, I suppose if you'd fostered or adopted a child and they'd been severely hurt, especially around in their bedroom, I think it's kind of holding that and just saying, okay, this is fine, it's understandable, of course. Saying, of course this is difficult. I know it's difficult, it's really hard, but it's really nice to hear the communication, even if it's uncomfortable and not very nice to say in your own mind and to yourself, thanks for showing up. And keep going. So I think that internal dialogue, it does pay off. And then when there is a success, I think the next thing is having pride, having confidence, feeling the achievement and that sense of I've done it, and know that you're going to slide back, and that's okay. And the reason I say that is so if you manage to take charge of your sleeping beauty without somebody casting a spell or some wicked being bestowed upon you, so you're just collapsed and exhausted, but you actually manage to find the sleeping beauty, the beauty sweet spot, and you're getting that deep recovery. What can happen? Vivid dreams. Vivid dreams can be summoned and shaken up like pirate bones from the deep of a shark-infested, cold ocean. There can be all manner of things that can be dredged up in those vivid dreams. And I find journaling, jotting them down, trying not to overthink them. If there's connections, great. But allow, because I know dream analysis is a big thing, but I would say it's trust. Trust that what's happening is a bit like if a hard drive gets corrupted and you have to do, a first aid on it, because there's some. I think discs are really interesting. Happened to me the other day. So a lot of things can happen. Say, if a disc gets pulled out midway of processing. So that's very like PTSD and trauma. You're going about your life and then suddenly it all gets yanked out and something just goes off kilter and you're just spinning. And the first aid process, it's almost as though the librarian of your mind has got a whole load of index files and they've been walking to go and file them where they should be, and a gust of wind came in or an owl that was a little bit confused bashed into them and they all go flying everywhere. So there's a process of all of those index files need to be put in the right places. When I was 10, when I was 8, when I was 23. And anybody who's been in abuse knows that the gaslighting, the disorientation, you don't know what day it is, time, because of PTSD, it's scrambled. Those index files are just all over the place. So the vivid dreams, I think just trusting, again, trying to get the mind out of the way and trust that there is just intelligence beyond belief, that whilst you're asleep, like Sleeping Beauty, you're going into this magical place, a whole new world that is happening, where, who knows, I mean, if you're spiritual, I'm spiritual, that possibly our soul goes to God or to heaven or to through the universe, different places, or there's a unification of energy. Something very profound happens that doesn't require this very small tool. I mean, the brain is incredible, but the very small parts, the dashboard, where we feel we need to poke and piece and edit and push and devise narratives that are acceptable and be normal and all those things, the mask, this area that is constantly trying to get the right mask. You don't need that when you're asleep. It completely masks off. So knowing that is happening, and the vivid dreams are a great sign that the puzzle is being pieced together so that it can be processed and rendered, compressed. And then when it's compressed, you've got so much more space to be functional, just like your Mac or your Windows or whatever you use. Yeah, so that's on. I'll talk more about Sleeping Beauty and sleep. Just wanted to do my factuals that also come alongside the fairy tale stories and archetypes as well. So every beginning has many different ends.